Hello and welcome to Outlook webinar. India, after a long lockdown, national lockdown period, is slowly trying to open up. But most doctors and experts tell us that this is the time when it is really, really critical, as they fear that the number of coronavirus cases is only going to surge. So as we enter this new phase, as we are going to go out of our houses, maybe go out to work, interact more with people, what precautions should we take? And more importantly, as hospitals are going to open after a long time, are likely to open now after a long time, is it safe to go to hospital? To talk about these and more, we have with us India's foremost cardiologist and chairman of Medanta, the world-class super specialty hospital, Dr. Naresh Trehan. Thank you, Dr. Trehan. Thank you so much for joining Outlook webinar. I can only imagine how busy you must be at a time like this. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here and to be able to share with you and your readers and the people who are on this webinar to exchange information on where we are at from the medical point of view. And
yes, sir. It would be
what we can do, and where should we be going?
Yes, sir. So, so now that it looks like we are going to slowly open up, the lockdown is getting over, doctors are saying that coronavirus cases are only going to go up. Do you think India used this period sufficiently to prepare for what is going to come now?
Yeah, I think there are 2-3 things happened in India's favor. One, the virus arrived in India a little later than the Western world, and like Italy, like Iran and all that. So in that downstream effect, we were able to react and lock down. So the government took the right decision that, look, if it's spreading like that, then you should and must lock down to break the chain and slow down the progression of this spread. So lockdown 1, 2, 3 happened. The basic thing that it did was, by isolating people by and large in their homes, it did slow down the spread, because the RO factor of this virus is 3. That means one person normally will infect 3, and 3 will infect 9, and 9 will infect 27. So there's a mathematical progression. Then thousands and thousands get infected.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that there is a case number 36 of South Korea. This is a lady who was positive and who attended 2 church services. And they say that from those, it started spreading so widely from those services that 50 to 60% of the patients who got the infection in Korea, you could trace the origin to those 2 congregations in the church that she attended. So really, if that is the situation, the government did the right thing, close down all the places of religion, all the public places, malls, everything. That was a good thing to do, because in India, we have many peculiarities. Like people, we're a very close society. We are emotional. We love to be with people. We love to hug each other. Those are characteristics of which even require a stricter lockdown so that we could actually keep the distance.
True.
So the basic thing is, I just want to elaborate, because people wonder, why are we saying hand washing, masking, and distancing? What is the origin? So there was a study which said like this: if a person has been infected and there is a person who is not infected, and they are both not wearing masks, and they are within 3 feet of each other, and they have an interaction of 15 minutes or more, then the chances of the non-infected person getting infected are extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the person who's got the infection is wearing a mask and the same thing is repeated, then the risk to the non-infected becomes VD. If both of them are wearing masks and still within 3 feet and more than 15-minute contact, then the incidence goes down to low, very low. So that's why we said, if you wear the mask and you just increase the distance, logically you should be safer. And that's the whole origin of this whole thing, because this was demonstrated that the droplets fly, they fall within 3 feet of you. So this is a scientific suggestion. It's not like somebody's pulled it out of the sky and said, start wearing masks. Okay.
Yeah.
Then and the distancing is from that. Now, hands, we know that it carries on surfaces. If you shake hands, a person has coughed in his hand, the virus may come. So we say maintain your hygiene. So let that be the starting point of our discussion of we are unlocking and what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's a natural phenomena as people start moving around, as people start working together, as people travel together. There is going to be a spread, no question about that. The numbers will go up. There are two critical factors here. One is how high will the numbers go and how fast they will go up. So this 60 days of lockdown that we have come through now has helped us to develop an infrastructure to be able to deal with this problem which did not exist before. So it is, we got the beds, we got the PPEs, we got the ventilators, we got the doctors trained how to deal with COVID. So the preparedness is much better today, and the standards were established of the safety for all this. Then PPEs were started being manufactured in India so that we didn't have to import them from other countries like China. Similarly, N95 are now managed. So all that has happened. So like the question, has it helped? Yes, most definitely it has helped hugely. Now, also the side benefit, which is not side but mainstream, it is really, is the fact that some medicines have been developed which look like they have a promise against treatment so that the mortality may come down even further. And the duration of the disease becomes shorter. That is one, that's remdesivir. If it holds up to this promise in the latest trial that's going on, and India has already been licensed. There are 4 companies in India who have been licensed, Jubilant and Cipla and 2 other companies, to manufacture it in India by the American company. So now, if that, and it has been given as a voluntary license from Gilead, so it will be manufactured here in June, and we should be available to Indians. So all these benefits have accrued to us. Now we are ready for battle. But the point is, it becomes now a people's battle. Yes. We are on the front line. We are the warriors. We are standing. We are ready. We are already taking care of hundreds of them. But on the other hand, it is the public's responsibility to keep the spread muted. If we practice the 3 things, that's the only thing. There's no magic bullet.
Yes.
The only things we ask you to do, please do. We still see people are very careless, and I don't know. It has to go into your DNA that look, this is the new life till we get over this problem. It's not going to be indefinite. Maybe 6 months to a year.
Yeah, and opening up of the lockdown doesn't mean that we start partying tomorrow. I mean, that has to really get into our minds properly.
That's it. So first thing is your own safety, then your family's, your children's safety, your parents' safety. How stupid can it be if you don't listen to it?
Yes,
that's the important part. Okay, so then unblocking is absolutely essential for several reasons, but the most overarching being the economic devastation that it will cause further than what it is today. India cannot afford it. So India can only appeal to people, be careful, follow the new norms, and hopefully we have enough infrastructure and everything to serve the public if they get sick. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to ask you, in cities like Delhi and Bombay, why are so few private hospitals allowed to treat COVID-19? Is it a sort of an unwillingness on the part of the private hospitals, or is it some kind of a lack of trust on the part of the government?
No. So look, the basic thing is that the first effort always is to keep the COVID patients in a specialized facility so that they're not mixing in the rest of the hospital. Not that, so if they're going to mix in a hospital, then the hospitals have to have a proper block where they can be isolated so that there's no mixing. So, but because the non-COVID patients are 100 times more than the COVID patients, so they need to be taken care of. So that's why the first step is like Medanta. We established with other 2 partners a hospital which was in which is in Manesar Bidior Hospital. In collaboration with them, we put 150 beds for COVID patients there, and our staff and people are actually managing everything, and we are bearing the cost of it, so that the public can be served to supplement the government's effort. So these are the examples that we are doing. Private sector is doing in some other cities also to supplement the government's effort. Now, if we all get overrun like what's happened in Mumbai, there is no enough beds. Government so every hospital has COVID patients, and their best effort is to try to isolate them as much as possible. Means you can't do it. But I don't know how severe the situation actually is on the ground. That is it possible or not? But Delhi is still under control, not to that bad degree as Mumbai is. But Delhi could turn into Mumbai very easily in the next 2-3 weeks. So we have to be very cautious at this stage, especially
once the lockdown eases, it's in the OPDs in the hospital which have been shut for so long, which may also be open. And a lot of other patients, they've been waiting to see their doctors. So is it safe? But it's there at the back of our mind that hospitals are this, den of infection, where one catches the virus. Is it safe to go to hospitals?
Yeah, it's not true that the hospitals are a den of infection. Absolutely not true. There is nothing to say that or do that. The OPDs have always been open. Yes, the patients couldn't get here because of the lockdown. So we were still functioning. So but the norms have changed. For the patient's protection, there are certain norms we established. So the number of appointments given per hour is much less than what we were there before, so that people could sit together. No. There is social distancing for patients waiting in the waiting room. The doctor sees them, and then the next patient comes in. So there is that clustering, and all that has been changed completely, which is good. So the behavior pattern of the entire society, our management has changed. So the patients are absolutely safe. Now, how, what will change? Maybe, we don't know. How many people will get infected? And 90% of them are either have no symptoms, or they are mildly symptomatic. So
yes,
ultimately it comes down to one, behavior change, the other, incorporating habits into your daily life which will protect you. So I'll give you an example. Why do some people will have very mild or no symptoms, and some people will have severe? Large part of that answer lies in immunity. It depends on a person's immunity, that if the virus comes into your body may be able to defeat it, because you have all the mechanisms in your body to fight foreign material.
Yeah.
So that is why the description that if you are over 60 or below 10, the full immunity has not developed, and above 60 it starts diminishing. To cope for that, you need to have muscle. Muscle gives you immunity. So exercise, whatever facility you have. If you don't have any facility, you can even do yoga in one room.
Sure.
And do the Surya Namaskar of yoga is the most fantastic thing. It exercises every muscle in your body, even your intestines and liver and all that. And also you can gradually increase the number you can do, and you can have a full workout. It also stretches your body, keeps it supple. On the other hand, we also have this problem with stress, huge amount of stress on people. One, being closed spaces. Second, financial outlook for many people is uncertain. So there is huge stress on people. So to actually cope with it, the best thing to do is the pranayama exercises of yoga, because Alom Alom, Kapalbhati, and Bhastrika, they not only help you mentally, but they also help you to clean your lungs, and that's where the infection goes. So
that's great coming from the top cardiologist of the country. It's good to hear yoga is the cure.
No, it's true. I practice it, so I'm just telling you what I do.
Yeah, sure.
The next. But now let me just say, there are hundreds of kinds of businesses that have to open, from a shop to a factory to a mall, airlines. So every segment, a lot of them have worked on it, but a lot of them have to refine their path to unlocking. What are the detailing they can get into the thinking? Like if you look at the airports, the airports have those markings, and they'll be paperless travel, there will be contactless travel. You have the masks and the shields, and we are now talking about middle seat or not middle seat. That discussion is going on right now, whatever is safe for the passengers. And we had a discussion that, okay, if middle seat is to be occupied, then you should have a wraparound gown so that you don't touch each other, and that will be the extra safety for the person in the middle, so they should feel secure. So and no service in the aircraft. Don't even drink water, because you give water bottles, somebody has to take off their mask, drink it. If they cough, they can infect everybody. So that's the kind of thing that that detailing has to go in.
Yeah.
In everything. So if we do that, these things that we are talking about, I hope our unlocking will not be as painful as it can be if we do not pay attention.
Dr. Trehan, I want to ask you, the last 2 months where the OPDs of most hospitals have been working on a very skeletal basis, but, it has not been as if, there's been a deluge of death and disease. This raises the question, were we running to the hospitals quite unnecessarily in the past?
Well, that question will be answered differently, but I'll tell you what is the reason now. We used to do 50 to 100, and collectively all of us, teleconference or video conferencing a day before COVID. We are now doing easily 400, 500 a day. So then we know, we've always debated this, does every patient has to come into the hospital for a follow-up visit if it was only going to be an interaction with the doctor and no tests had to be?
Yeah.
So what we find is that if you have to come get your medicines adjusted, we can do many things remotely, which we know that and you can even get your blood pressure checked and give the readings to the doctor. So we have been managing patients. So it has come to a point where when it comes to intervention, when it comes to physical exam, when it comes to some testing which you are required, then you'll have to travel for sure to your trusted doctor. Yeah. But if you have the diagnosis, you have the medications, and they need to be adjusted every 3 months or 6 months or something, then it may be unnecessary to go all the way, and this video interaction will be enough. Now, fortunately, there is broadband. We were always thinking about these things, but the corona has compressed it into now. How many new technologies we got used to. So we have Zoom, we have Party, we have Teams, it goes on and on. So there is the facilitation which has been accelerated. So life will be different now. So how many people can work from home? Will continue to work from home, but the companies will encourage you to work from home.
So right? This telemedicine.
I'm sorry?
The telemedicine and teleconsulting, you think are going to stay? I mean, they are going to now more the norm.
Absolutely, it is now incorporated in our daily life. It is good from every point of view, wherever appropriate. Problem will come if you overdo it. If you ignore the patient and you say you don't want to touch him, he can sit there and I've charged my fee. That's not good. If the patient needs to see you, you tell them they need to see you.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Look at the cost saving for the patient if we give him the right advice. To travel long distance with your family and waiting here and staying overnight, that's unnecessary now.
Yeah.
So there is an upside to this very bad downside.
Yes. Dr. Trehan, the other question I wanted to, it's about the business of hospitals. There is this, I think, FICCI Ernst & Young report says that most hospitals are at the occupancy rate of about 40% than what they could be. How do you foresee, would it put stop to their expansion plans, of buying equipment, etc.? How do you see the business reviving?
So you see, I look at it differently. It's not a business, it's a service. And you must never forget that this is a service to a sick person.
Mm.
It's not to be approached as a commodity. Because the moment you break that bond, you have severed yourself from the Hippocratic Oath. So sometimes it's a disadvantage if the institution is run purely by businessmen. See, that's the difference between a doctor. See, for a doctor, no matter there's a top line and there's a bottom line you have to watch. But there is a patient in the middle always because we are interacting with the patients. For a business person who has no connection with the patient, it is top line and bottom line. That's the difference. So now what I feel is that look, this is now an opportunity for us to be able to contain the cost of medicine because today there is a mismatch. The cost of delivering is much higher than what we are being paid. So every hospital is cruising very close to the ground. There might have been some years in the past where the cost factor was not so high that we had a margin of 10-15% at that time. Today, you're barely breaking even, and that's the best of them. The other people are in trouble. So the point was, what happened? The rates which you could charge the public have not gone up, but the cost, and we are very labor intensive because 50% of our cost is the manpower cost. That has escalated every year. So it has caught up and then now overtaking us. So we need to now learn how to deliver medicine at a lower price point and still be okay. So if you look at, so that's where I want to clarify, take this opportunity, that popular belief that a lot of money is being made is not true. If a hospital is getting low double-digit returns, which should be, see, like if you look at annuity projects approved by the government, which the government gives on a BOT basis, it's 15% margin. I don't think there are many hospital chains that are making 15% return today. That's why the stress, because we have to renew ourselves. We have to, the equipment has a limited life. It's bloody expensive equipment. So we need to arrive at a clear understanding by the regulators that what is the real cost and add on X amount. My recommendation is 15% because that's how much you need to service your debt and to renew yourself. Okay, so that will be at least a viable via media. If that can be done, it will make life easier for everybody. The hospital will survive well, the patients will be serviced properly, the rates will be all transparent so everybody will know this is the real cost plus 15%. Those are the things we need to bring into the healthcare system rather than this whole angst about whether somebody is making a lot of money, the patient is being served properly, or government is bad, good, the government services are not so good. All this, we can all make it even. And that's where the future lies. And I think because now this given to pause, we can reset the system.
Yeah.
If we
doctors-led hospitals are one thing, but one hears cases of when doctors are given targets to meet. They have to fill up so many beds in a month. Things like that. I mean, so the pressure on them when the situation, when the slowdown is so much, isn't it going to be more? I mean, in some cases.
No. Look, first of all, it's immoral to do that because that means you are under pressure. If you put a doctor under pressure, you must go grab the patient. That's not medicine, by the way. I'll give you the mantra of success of medicine. The basic thing is if you practice well, good medicine good medicine will give you some money, but good business will not make good medicine. So there is a conflict there. So you have to be only doing your work of giving good medicine. Money will come on its own. People will break your door down to see you because if they believe that you're a good doctor and you're an honest doctor and you're doing it right. So
Absolutely.
anything that comes, and I don't think the doctors are also wrong when they say, oh, I've been given targets for me. Why should you accept a target? Just accept, say, I will take what I earn.
I won't do it. Yeah.
I won't do it. Doctors are supposed to be leaders. So
Yeah.
if doing this, it's not right. Neither right for the administration to do it, nor right for the doctor to accept it. There is a
Yeah.
special relationship, that bond that develops, which gives you pleasure because it's a to and fro. The guy
Of course.
trusts you, you
Of
feel good
course.
about it.
It's a profession like no other. I mean, it's a unique profession. Doctors are gods in many ways. There is no doubt about all that.
This God business has to stop. It is no such thing as God. The basic thing is,
Miracle makers,
I think,
let's say.
it's, nobody else can understand what pleasure it gives you to 24/7. I mean, things are at home. You never have time to talk to anybody. The phone keeps ringing, but you're helping patients, not only and your friends, your everybody. So it is. I don't know what it is, but it is some gratification. You put yourself in other people's shoes and you say, so and so is so successful, made so much money, is flying around in private jets and all that. It doesn't give us any feeling of envy. I mean, you say we are lucky. We are lucky. Actually, we are lucky as doctors.
True.
This is the most meaningful life. It has its own trappings, but otherwise it's a very meaningful life. It takes a lot
Doc-
out of you, but it doesn't make you miserable that you are working so hard. It gives you pleasure. So I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something wrong with us.
Dr.
That,
Trehan, in the beginning, we spoke about cities like Delhi and Bombay, etc., which with number of beds. But with so many migrant workers who have gone back to their villages, maybe they are carrying the disease with them from the cities that they have left. The pressure that this is going to put on the rural and the small town healthcare, that's going to be tremendous. How do you think we are going to cope with that?
so two things. One, can I take the liberty of asking you, why do we call them migrants?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a migrant. I'm a migrant worker in Delhi.
No, this is what I'm saying. These are labor that was working in India. They're not that
Absolutely.
have gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the migrant came from. Anyway, now the point is, there is a little bit of a conflict here that, first they got locked down and then they were, the pressure was so much that they had to be let go to go home. So it's produced a huge problem for,
Yeah.
India. But more importantly, whatever the disease happens, but you look at the misery these people went through. I mean, just think about it. Children walking. I mean, they got those so desperate that they'll walk 700 kilometers in this heat with the children, dragging the children. I mean, it's an inhuman thing that happened. Okay, now whatever, we will do the analysis later, but we should do everything in our power to get them back to their villages. But that is heartening is the villages are also reacting sensibly. So we have seen pictures, and I don't know if it's 100% or 70% or 50%, but the reports are that the villagers are also concerned about the labor coming home and infecting or spreading the disease in areas where it doesn't exist. So they have made their local school as their quarantine facility. They've arranged for their food. They've done everything. I saw pictures of, they've even got PPEs to serve them in that period of quarantine. That's fantastic. So if this is happening more than what we are aware of, then that may help. Now, okay. Now your point is, if they get sick, what happens? The facilities are not. So if you look at the government's stated plan, and there's no way for me to know, but that's the planning that has been done, and I'm party to or I know the plan, is that every block has a facility which can take care of at least the minimum for COVID patient. Okay. Some percentage, fortunately, what we are seeing is that not many, maybe 1 or 2% need to go on a ventilator. Now, labor is actually quite tough.
Yes.
Their immunity should be extremely high because they live in very frugal conditions. They are physically working all day. So they are hardy people. So that is very possible that they will not spread, but they will get over it if they are in quarantine. Now the danger is they have it and they go and give it to the elderly in the village. So the elderly have to be actually protected from this. And it's a 14-day period. It is a period, but they were so desperate to go home that they should go home. Why not? Because psychologically they were thrown off completely. You saw the desperation.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So whatever happens. I think the villages are, and wherever possible, if this doesn't spread as much or people don't get too sick. See, it may spread, but if not many people get sick, then even then it is what we call herd immunity on its way.
Yeah. And so in the villages, with this economic activity being not there, and with so many more people coming in, many of them really don't have enough to eat. So this lack of nutrition, do you think it might lead to not only COVID but other nutrition-related illness?
Of course it can. Of course it can. But the point basically is we have a lot of resources as far as that is concerned. I'm told there are 75 lakh tons of grain in granaries, which is in excess and may even rot if we don't use it. So that can be used in the interim period. I'm told it's enough for 6 months to feed almost everybody. So if that's the case, we need to get our act together. And, there should be no distraction from each other. There should be no distraction at a social level or a political level or a financial level. We should all pitch in and get India through this rough period. We're going to be great again. There's nothing wrong. I have full belief in India. Because I fundamentally, God gave us the best brains in the world. I don't know if you believe it or not, but I have witnessed it. So yeah, I mean, it's another thing he put a twist in our tail that we don't walk straight. That's a different story. But we do have superior brains. I'll tell you, I can guarantee you that. So we've proven it. We went all over the world. We came out on top. It's always.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, Dr. Trehan, before we close, now from tomorrow onwards, it's a new phase that we're going to enter, where the lockdown is going to ease up. The final advice that you would like to give to our viewers and readers?
Yeah. So, the cardinal rules are, no matter what you're going to do, no matter where you're going to be, your level of awareness, of cautious awareness, should always become part of your life. That means you're aware about the distance, you're aware about you wearing a mask and somebody else wearing a mask. If somebody is not wearing a mask, stay away from them. Do sanitization at home, protect your elders and your children who are below 10, extra careful with them, maintain your distance. Also, do not do unnecessary tasks till maybe another 2-3 months, till the rage is on and there is no treatment. Okay, the silver bullet is still not here. Then, by all means, the able-bodied should participate in their full activity as they are going forward. It is up to organizations to make sure that minimum safety standards are maximized and the maximum safety features for all the employees should be in place, and then let them come. It's in the interest of your business, it's in the interest of your employees, and by and large, it is for the country, because if panic spreads, from workplaces and all that, there'll be a big problem.
Yes.
So we just need to be careful. Don't let economics be the only factor. Safety has to be the companion of economics. If you keep that in mind, it will serve you better in the long run. So shortcuts at this stage can be very expensive to
Thank you.
the owner.
Thank
Okay.
you very much, Dr. We'll keep that in mind. All of us will keep that in mind.
I would like to give, because a lot of people got taken in by Trump about this hydroxychloroquine and started swallowing it themselves. It has no role to play in your life unless you're sick and let the doctor prescribe it. Please don't take it yourself, because there are many people who have been hurt badly by hydroxychloroquine because they had underlying some rhythm problems, ECG problems, and that even led to death. So do not use it as a prevention. It has no value.
And Dr. Kiran, one more point that, actually very few people with COVID-19 need hospitalization, right? I mean, most of them can get cured just being at home.
Yes. So there is what we call the home isolation. If you have been in contact, we call it quarantine. If you are proven to have COVID, it's known as isolation. So the protocol for isolation is very clear. But the precondition is you must have room in your house. You must have 2, 3 rooms where you can be put separately, and you don't, and one person from the house can take care of you. But otherwise, also, we now have COVID care facilities. Not very expensive, 2,000 to 3,000 rupees a night. And you can be there, you'll be fed, and you'll be monitored. So all these facilities are available now. So a lot of help, like I said, lockdown has helped.
Yes.
A lot. Yeah. What we do to it, we now will depend on the Janta to act responsibly. If they don't, we could have undone all the benefits of all the suffering that we've gone through. But if we behave responsibly, we would have won. That's the only.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure we will win with doctors like you. Thank you so much.
So we say, stay well, stay safe.
Yes, sir. Stay well, stay safe.
No more bye-byes. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Delighted to speak to you. Thank you very much.